Are you finding yourself lacking self-esteem from a relationship challenge? Whatever kind of relationship we're talking about. Well, today I'm going to share why this may be and some points around it on how you can improve your self-esteem. And if you stay until the end, I have an extra special point for you then. Now, personally in my own life, I've noticed the biggest challenge for me and others in self-esteem is relationships with others. And in particular, if I'm honest with myself and what I've heard from others, intimate relationships or dating. Without doubt, the biggest thing to test your self-esteem, because it really brings out the biggest fear that we're not enough and therefore not lovable within it when we get close to someone. And I can remember how I felt about myself going up and down. It's like if it was going well with a girl, fantastic, or even friendships for many years in kind of like school up to a certain point. It was like, oh, it's going well. Oh, people like me, or I don't feel as liked today. Oh, I'm useless. I'm unworthy. And I've seen people also, and I've known people who've been absolutely destroyed and wiped out by how someone's treated them in maybe a close relationship or how friends have treated them. And I've seen really, really low points in people, serious low points because of how relationships have gone in some really dark places. And I've been into some pretty dark places in the past in terms of my self-esteem and how I felt about myself, if I liked myself or not, because of how my dating life was going. That was the biggest one, but also how it was going, like when perhaps I didn't feel like I was getting on with friends or have a community around me when I'd feel quite low. And actually, as someone who's quite extroverted and likes being around people, it can get me quite down. And like I say, why is this? Well, I've learned from my research and from my own experience, it's like I say, it's the feeling that we're not enough and not lovable if others reject us, unless we trained ourselves, unless we trained our self-esteem. Because if we get into some really bad situations with other people, whatever that might be, and we've not trained our self-esteem, it can be really hard. Now, self-esteem, what's that mean? That means your relationship with yourself. How much do you like you as you, regardless of anything else? And if that's low and then other people come in and impact you in a negative way, it's going to be a challenge. How is it helping you not working your self-esteem and then getting damaged by other people because of their actions? Well, it didn't do me any favors. And it doesn't necessarily mean that people are always like toxic or anything like that. It can just be they're in their own world. And at the end of the day, people are always going to be quite concerned with their own worlds. There's obviously people a bit more empathetic and understanding of other people. And it's good to hang out with those kind of people. But at the end of the day, it's not always that person's toxic, or it can be, obviously, but toxic or negative. It just means if their actions aren't how you expect them to be and you've got low self-esteem, it's going to impact you. So I want to go through some tips now on how you can really prevent this from happening. And if it does happen, like really make sure your self-esteem, you can boost it up again. So the first thing is be proactive, like train your self-esteem every single day. And one thing I'd like to say about this is treat yourself like you would a 3-year-old child or the 3-year-old version of you. Start treating yourself like a kid, not in a way like patronizing or anything like that, but as in the love you would give to maybe your 3-year-old son or daughter, or like your 3-year-old sibling, or even how you would love to be loved when you, and maybe you were in parts, when you were 3 years old, right? Love yourself like that every single day. Do things like tell yourself you love you, hug yourself if you need to, treat yourself, talk to yourself kindly. Because if you can build a good relationship with yourself and you genuinely love your own company, you're never going to feel lonely and you're not going to be dependent on someone else. So that's the first one. The second one, hang out with people with good self-esteem. People who don't put other people down, people who make you feel good. Sounds obvious, but a lot of us don't because we get caught in our own patterns. In my previous episode, I talked about we're not even aware of our own unconscious patterns sometimes. Hang out with people who make you feel good. And the third one, there'll be times when your self-esteem has been really tested. And even in the last year, I've had that. You're going to need to go to the gym a little bit more. Think about it. Think about it like this. You go to the gym and you work on yourself, and you got a fairly good health, right? And then suddenly a marathon comes up. What happens if you maintain your current gym routine, which is like maybe a little bit of cardio, maybe a little bit of weights, just fairly neutral? Well, you're not going to be prepared for the marathon because it's going to be a real physical test. Well, life throws you emotional tests. It throws you things that are going to test your self-esteem. And in those moments, you're going to have to up your workout, your emotional workout. So at times, you're going to have to work out a little bit harder in terms of some of this. And I'm talking not pushing yourself in a physical workout or anything. I'm talking about the emotional work, telling yourself you love you, caring for yourself, giving yourself a break, saying how much you appreciate you even more, because when times are hard, you're going to have to up that workload for you. Okay, so I've got a bonus tip for you as well. And this is this. Every single day, find some time to have a conversation with yourself. That could be a walk in silence with yourself. No phone, no music. That ruins it. That ruins the conversation with yourself. Ideally, somewhere quiet so you can't hear chatter from other people. Or you can journal, sit and journal, or you can talk to yourself, whichever one works for you. Just have a conversation with yourself every single day. People are scared to be with themselves, but that's the only way you're going to build your relationship with you, by understanding what you need and having that conversation. So use one of those ways to really build up your self-esteem, because when you can understand what your own needs are, you're going to be less reliant on other people. When it goes bad, your self-esteem is not going to be as badly impacted. Of course, someone may do something so horrific that, you're going to need support and love from other people and a bit of time, right, to you. But if you've got really low self-esteem, if someone does something slightly annoying or harsh to you, it's really going to trigger you, right? So make sure you are having a good communication with yourself every single day so that you can build a good relationship with yourself. So that's what I got for you today. I appreciate you for being here. You're improving other people's lives for being the best you. And remember, you're in control of your own self-esteem and confidence.